Hello and a very warm welcome to the first episode of our Samsic and JPC by Samsic podcast series. Today's goal is to provide you, the listener, with actionable insights, best practices that you could apply in your own teams going forward. So to kick off our inaugural episode, I'm thrilled to have this guest with us. He has been a pivotal figure in Samsic and JPC by Samsic's cultural transformation, which has already led to Samsic being finalist in this year's Business Culture Awards, HR Excellence Awards, SHP Trailblazer Awards. And today, he'll be sharing his experiences and insights on this critical topic. Today's guest expert is our very own Managing Director, Mr. Ian Leading. Welcome, Ian. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very well, Andy. Thank you. Very generous welcome. It's great to be here. Thanks ever so much.
So how do you feel about hearing about all that recognition and those awards and all that kind of business industry expertise, recognition that we are now starting to hear and feel at Samsic?
Oh, it's been a wonderful journey I've been with the business for just coming up for 12 years and had the absolute privilege to lead the business as managing director for coming up for 2.5 years. And wow. We started our cultural journey as you know, yourself as part of the leadership team with 2.5 years ago. And so, you know, it's gone really, really quickly. So to be up for awards within that time is just absolutely wonderful, and it's due credit and due reward to all the hard work that everyone in the business has put in. It's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'm really thrilled for the business. It's very deserved.
I think we're all kind of chuffed and pleased that we're getting that external recognition, because we've done all that hard work internally, and for someone who's not part of it to recognise that and start giving us awards and recognition, it's like, oh wow, we want that right journey, if that makes sense. Yeah. So without further ado, let's delve into this podcast conversation with Ian. Straight out of the box, utilising your years of experience, Ian, what does cultural transformation mean in facilities management?
Crikey, that's a big question, right? So in my handful of years within the industry, I think for us it's you know, having worked in the business for a number of years with yourself, Andy, I think we always spoke at a management level around about what type of company we were and how we felt that we were as a business. But the thing that we'd never ever done is we'd never defined it.
That's true.
And we spoke about our family values, what it was like to be part of the Samsic Group, which is a family-owned business, and all across Europe, of course, and still is family-owned. But we'd never defined it. Yeah. So we kind of set on that journey sort of 2.5 years ago of starting to talk at leadership level around us, starting to define it, starting to think about how we would do that, and that's the journey we're still on.
Yes, yeah, we talk about it all the time.
We're still on that journey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I can remember we've had so many little workshops between us, the board members, and now starting to expand out to the wider business as well to get feedback. And like you said, that definition of culture is absolutely critical to where we want to go, isn't it? Really. Yeah. So that kind of makes a load of sense to me. So part of that journey, what does Samsic do to develop its culture, and also what impact do you think that has on us as a business and the services that we deliver to our clients?
Oh, I think firstly, when we started the journey, we started thinking around, okay, well, where do we begin? And everything that we do as an organisation comes through our people.
Yeah.
Everything that we deliver, we're a service business, so from our key frontline staff, our cleaning operatives and our security officers, all the way through to our staff in head office who are processing invoices, our payroll teams, your check teams, and our operatives who are cleaning our offices here in Coventry on a daily basis. Everything we do as an organisation is delivered through our people. We have IT and systems and equipment, etc., that supports what we deliver. But everything we do is delivered through people. So to to define and start to understand and create a culture that everyone can understand. And a lot of the things that we did, we're looking to aspire to as an organisation. So when we first spoke about it, it was about, okay, what culture do we feel we have, and what culture do we want to aspire to? So we started as a team and as a business to think about what behaviours did we want to engender. And I remember us sitting around.
I remember as well.
Sitting around the board, okay, and we came up with 15 behaviours. So firstly, you think about the behaviours you want to engender, and we've now taken that all the way through to which we're going to launch at our in a very light way at our conference in a couple of weeks, is our company beliefs. So people can link our beliefs to our pillars and our values, which also support our beliefs. So what does that do as an organisation? Hopefully, it helps our clients to understand what we're about as an organisation, what makes us special. It helps us to recruit and retain our talents, makes us, an employer that people really, really want to come and work for and have a career with and work with for many, many years. And it makes us a little bit different in the market. And it's about us supporting and assisting anyone who comes across us, whether they're a client or a building user or a premises user, or they're a key member of staff for us. That's what it means to us.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. So when we start thinking about that meeting in this actual room where we started to discuss the next stage and all of our behaviours, what do you think the biggest challenge that we've observed or you've observed when it comes to like shifting that company culture?
I can remember sitting in London and we'd put together our behaviours, we put together our pillars, and then we put together our values. And when it came to the behaviours, I remember us going round. I think I'm going to be talking about it. We went around the table, and I'm going to look at my two colleagues here who are helping us film this podcast, and we said to everyone, and I said to everyone, okay, is everyone happy? We're going to go forward. So we have our five pillars, and we had our 15 behaviours, and we also have our values. And I said, okay, is everyone happy? And all of us in the leadership team, everyone said, yes, we're happy, and we're happy to go ahead. I said, okay, has everyone considered the consequences of us going forward with these behaviours and these pillars and these values? And it kind of looked a little bit quiet around the table, you may recall.
Yeah, I do remember it.
I said, okay, because there will be a consequence to us going forward with these, because from here on in, if we push these into the business, we will all be judged. Everyone in the business, and us, we're the first ones who will be judged and held accountable against these behaviours, pillars and values. And are we prepared to do that?
Yeah.
And I remember the realisation, it had kind of gone from being a concept to, okay, guys, now it becomes a commitment. And I wouldn't say that it was a difficult, to answer your question, I wouldn't say that was a difficult first step, but I think that was probably the first time that the leadership team, everyone had kind of realised that, okay, this has now gone from kind of being a sales gimmick, if you will, to being something that's going to come into our business. But it starts at the top.
Yeah.
It starts at the top, and we have to all buy into it and embrace it. And we did, and then we pushed on from there.
Yeah, I think it was that reality, things that we're talking about, and things we want to implement, and we've got to live by these. We've got to manage by these. We've got to develop our own internal culture. So we kind of lead by example and follow those behaviours as well. And it was a real kind of eye-opening moment to think, oh yeah, crikey, we're already doing them, but actually now we've kind of formalised them, and there's no deviation away from those different behaviours. We've got to start behaving in those sorts of behaviours as well. So yeah, it was a really good session. I remember that one really well, actually. So if we were kind of thinking about that as well, if we highlight a case study or a success story, we've got quite a few success stories, so to speak. Is there something you could share with our podcast listeners, some examples of our cultural development and what impact that's had on our services, our employees and our culture?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And I think one thing that's happened that happened this year, we have two conferences. We have a kind of mini conference halfway through the year and our main conference in December. And we, as you know, we have one major client and employee staff survey, and we set ourselves a number of KPIs this year. And most of the key metrics that we measure our business are around our people investment. Sorry, I'm looking over there because that's our key pillar. So that's our key focus, is around people investment and customer engagement as our two key pillars. And what we've seen this year in terms of our customer engagement score has massively improved since we, as you know, started focusing 2.5 years ago. And also our customer engagement score has massively improved. We had a challenge in our organisation with people leaving us within the first year of joining us. So our in-year churn was a challenge, and that's massively improved. And our employee length of service has improved. So those are really, really positive. But the one that's really caught my attention is when we had the workshop in back in July, as we seem to have transitioned from, I remember kind of 3-4 years ago, if we did a survey, the feedback would generally be, it felt like moaning.
Yeah.
People would say, "Oh, we don't do this,
That's
don't
exactly
do that,
right.
and we don't do the other." Where the tone of the feedback now, or from the summer, was, "We do this, but we don't shout about it enough. We do this, absolutely. We don't shout about it enough." So it's gone from a kind of a negative vision or view of the business to a positive one. So that culture of us investing in our people are now starting to investing more. Has really seen a sea change where people are seeing the positives that we do in the organisation and wanting us to reflect on them more. So yeah, it's been a real positive shift this year.
Yeah,
and last year it started, but it's really starting to gain momentum. It's the second year.
Yeah, definitely. I think that communication is there. We are absolutely guilty of not shouting of how good we are, what we actually do, and then embracing those kind of free ideas. And this is coming from the people out there, front-facing employees of, actually, yeah, this is really good. But yeah, like you said, expanding on some of those items that we're looking at and those behaviours, and they're almost like, yeah, that's what they're expecting. It's not something that that we've had to force canvas. It's actually their real views of it, and it's great. We've embraced them and we'll take them to the next level, as you say.
And as you know, we were talking about it at a board meeting a couple of weeks ago, where kind of 3-4 years ago, you know, we would be coming as a leadership team, we would be coming up with the ideas and suggestions, and now it's completely the other way around. I think at the conference we've got in a couple of weeks, there are 96 key suggestions, and they've come from the business. None of them have come from us. And we've got this wonderful opportunity, which we're going to be taking, is to present how many. I think we're going to be. I hope this doesn't go out before the conference, by the way. But we're going to be deploying 70 of those initiatives into the business next year, which is just fantastic. Yeah. So, you know, our staff are asking and our employees are asking for these initiatives and these fantastic ideas they're coming up with and these concepts, and we're going to be deploying them next year, which is fantastic. Yeah, so we've got, you know, our staff and our wonderful employees, you know, improving our business. It's now a bottom-up business, not a top-down business, which is fantastic.
I think that's definitely the feel of the vibe of the company at the moment, is that we're all sharing best practice. Everyone's got an input into the business and how we progress forward as well. So yeah, it's a fantastic transformation, that is. So if we kind of look out to the wider facilities management sector, so to speak, are there any companies that you've observed that have been successful in their cultural transformation? And is there anything that we as Samsic can take in-house and kind of learn from them, so to speak?
No, it's a really good question. I think it's difficult when you've been in a business for a long time. And I had the pleasure of working in, you know, over my experience of working in. There's companies I've worked in where I've really enjoyed the culture.
Yeah.
And there's companies I've worked in where I've enjoyed the culture less. And I've found personally that for me, working in family run businesses, whether they be large or small, has been generally a really enjoyable experience. And working within an organisation where you can shape strategy, you have the facility to shape strategy, has always been an environment that I've enjoyed. And I worked in OCS many years ago, and when it was a slightly different organisation headed up by Gerald Bowthorpe, and I worked there from when I was in my kind of mid 20s, and spent 10 really happy years at OCS, and lots of things that I took over many years ago from working in OCS then, and I found when I came here that had a very similar feel. And I think what we've done with the other experience with JPC, again, small family, niche business, real high-end expertise. We've got within the leadership team, within the wider business, lots of different experience, and we're bringing in with our marketing team and our sales team and our operations team, we're able to attract into the business some real key experienced people who are bringing some real best practice, which is just improving our business and adding, as we were just touching on just now, just bringing fresh ideas to move our. So it's gone from, as we were saying, a top-down business to being a bottom-up business, which is helping us shape it. So I'd say, our experience brings us to this point, which helps us. But no, I think the whole business adds to the progress.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So that's brilliant. That is. So I think at this point, probably an ideal opportunity actually, because we're actually organically moving into our best practice. So what, from your experience, what steps could a CEO or a manager, for example, what do you think they could do to undertake their cultural transformation within their businesses or their departments or their teams as well? Because it can always be, doesn't have to be a wider, huge company. It can be individually smaller teams as well. So what would your advice be for someone who's trying to start up on that journey?
I think sometimes it's just really important to stop the world spinning and just have a pause.
Yeah, definitely.
Just have a pause and step away from the workload and have some strategic thinking time.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're so busy doing, well, I've got to do this, I've got this client to see, I've got, we can bury ourselves in, could be finance tasks or client tasks or invoicing tasks, and just stand back, take a breath, give yourself some strategic thinking time, and even if it's only once a year, at least. But if you can do it more frequently than that, it's really helpful. I'd say at least once a month, take some time to step away and just draw breath and ask yourself some key questions. What culture? Not what culture do you think? What culture do you think your team think there is within your remit? What do your team think of the company? What do they really think? Take some time to ask, do surveys, ask them, get that feedback. Sometimes we're scared to ask for feedback in case it's negative.
Yes, that's true. It's true.
All feedback is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you know what? The feedback you really want is the negative feedback, because that's the feedback that helps you learn. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what you receive, because it's all a gift. It's all a gift. So that would be my. And then take that information. You have to be brave in asking, but also be honest with yourself. Stand away, pause, ask yourself tough questions as well. You can be blindly just continuing in one direction, thinking you're doing well. Well, perception's 9/10 of the law. It's not what you think; it's what your people think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's always what I always find. I never take it personally. If someone comes to me with a really good idea, I don't think, how dare you come to me with that negativity? I thought, okay, great, because like you just said, that's their perception of me or what my teams are delivering. So let's embrace it. Let's try to develop our culture and our strategy to fit around what that person's perception is. But yeah, I think one lesson I learned over my career was so invaluable is just don't take these things so personally, because you then put that guard up, and actually it's a nice little nugget, a nice little improvement that I can make. It could be a smallest thing, and then that makes me move 2 steps forward rather than being a bit more like distance from the business really. So I think that kind of links really well into the next type of question is that how do you think leadership and communication are, how important do you think they are in the whole process?
Yeah, I think they're really important, and the key thing with leadership is to try and facilitate. And the thing I found when I stepped into the role is that you have to really try and become a facilitator as quickly as possible, because when you move in, I was a COO for 3 years before, as you know, and so you're still in a doing role.
Yes.
And then when you move into the CEO role, you're not in a doing role, but you're kind of, and it's finding a way to really facilitate, and like with any team, bringing the team with you, and you do that by facilitating. So you may have a concept and you may have an idea of how you want to move the business forward, and you're then moving into kind of internal selling and taking the team with you, which is normal. But with leadership, have an idea and direction, but again, ask and listen.
Exactly.
Ask and listen, because you will get more.
Yeah,
for sure. So leadership's have some concepts, but be open and flexible.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of almost like a perfect segue into the next bit. It's like future trends, because you think probably back in the 70s and 80s it'd be less. It's almost like tell, you do, and now we're like
very autocratic, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Top down.
So I think that's the sort of thing. How do you see that role of company culture shaping the facilities management industry going forward from this point?
Yeah, again, another really good question. I think as our market is constantly maturing, and of course it will continue to mature. So, I've been in the industry for a number of years now, and it continually evolves. And one of the ways that it's evolving is definitely around, innovation used to be the thing. So it's constantly around what's the next new gadget.
Yes.
Next new gadget. But the thing that hasn't changed is that people are still front and center in terms of how we deliver our service, but also the majority of the cost. So one thing that hasn't changed is still, the payroll and the burden of the majority of our charge to our clients. 80% of that is payroll. So us ensuring that we can use our staff effectively and efficiently, using technology to support the human element, but the most important thing is protecting and nurturing and looking after the human element is front and center. And our clients are becoming more and more knowledgeable. Where our clients used to kind of be at arm's length, they're definitely more knowledgeable and have higher expectations.
Yeah,
and we're us as a business are definitely rising to meet them. That we have to constantly move forward and evolve to meet that. And I'm sure that's going to continue. And of course, ESG is absolutely front and center for us as a business. And we feel that we're certainly meeting our environmental and of course people front and center for our social objectives as well.
Definitely. And I think that organic evolution of that ESG as well is we can see it building, and some of the newer clients are starting to ask us about it. As before, we were telling them about it and explaining to them what ESG is. And now we're starting to define our clients and saying, great, what's your ESG strategy? Yeah. What are you doing about the environment? What's your governance rules and procedures? And what are you doing from a social impact perspective as well? And that's certainly started to spread out across some of the newer businesses and new tenders and clients that we're starting to engage with as well. So you can you can feel it even last 6-7 months or so. So a big nugget for everyone to take away from today's podcast. If another business leader came to Ian Leading looking for that golden piece of knowledge, that little bit of advice that's going to help them on their career, take them to the next level, evolve in their cultural transformation, stay ahead of the game, so to speak, what would that be? What would Ian Leadon say to that person coming into their office?
So if it was another CEO, I would say ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them, survey. Ask your team what they really think. Ask your business what they really think of the company they work for.
Brilliant. I think that's that's been that thread all the way through this whole podcast, isn't it? Is that the information is out there. If you don't ask for it, you're missing out on something.
You may not always like somebody answers
exactly, yeah,
but it gives you an opportunity to do something with it, and then that becomes your choice, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So that brings us to the end of our very first podcast, Cultural Transformation in the Facilities Management with Mr. Ian Leadon. Thank you very much, Ian, for being our first guest, sharing your valuable insights. It's been a real pleasure, as always, and having you on our show. Thank you very much. But one thing before you leave, I'll be asking all of our podcast guests like a random question. It's nothing to get scared about. But who has been the most influential person in your career? Could be anyone at work, personal life or private life, or even at work, that you're kind of able to share with us, and what have they done to kind of be that influential in your life?
Oh, that's easy to answer from a work perspective. My first mentor was a guy called David Hill, and he was my sales manager when I was at OCS. And I was a sales representative working at Balham Laundry, working for Smarts Laundry, and he's the guy who nudged me to be a manager.
Yeah.
Wasn't something I was thinking about, and yeah, he was by my side for the first 2 years when I was doing that. Yeah, and he was absolutely pivotal, and I'll be eternally grateful to David. Yeah,
I think that's the same as me. The first ever person who showed me encouragement to be, if I was working in the factory floor, to work in an office and become a supervisor, to be a manager. I still remember that guy. That guy was, for me, was a guy called Don Alwood, and I just thought he just put so much belief and faith of me. I was like, yeah, thanks very much. You never forget those guys, do you, really? No. So thank you very much for sharing that. And once again, many thanks, Ian.
Pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found today's discussion enlightening and inspiring as I did, or as we did as well. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, spread the word. Stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be talking to another Samsic expert. So until the next time, take care, stay safe, keep driving that positive change. I've been your host, Andrew Bryan. Thank you and goodbye.